was watching Aladdin, and I was thinking about uh, a few years ago. Just some old stuff has been coming up in my mind, I guess, and I used to try and find like dating advice online, and uh, spoiler alert, like most of it is just terrible. It's just terrible, and and it's so funny because I was just watching Aladdin, and uh, and I noticed a few things that I kind of want to talk about. I just wrote them down as I was watching. Uh, it's When I was a kid, that was my favorite Disney movie. I think I have to say that Beauty and the Beast is my favorite now. The animation. I don't know. Man, that one's just so rich, and just so, man. I haven't watched Pinocchio in a while. What are the other ones? Little Mermaid. I haven't seen that in a long time. So Lion King's really good, but like Aladdin is just a badass. Aladdin. Like he's like kind of like a trickster, kind of childish, and he's the diamond in the rough. He's like set to be a diamond, but he's in the rough. He's rough, and one thing that it was interesting to me is each of the main characters have a sub character. Like Jasmine has the tiger, Jafar has the parrot, which is interesting because he's kind of like full of himself, and a parrot just repeats back. And then Aladdin has Abu, the monkey. And you can kind of see how you can kind of see that character. That character is essentially, I mean, almost every scene you see the main character, Aladdin, Jasmine, or Jafar, you see their sidekick animal with them. So you can kind of see that as part of them, right? As part of their self. And I just noticed that, Jasmine was kind of insecure in that she wanted freedom, and she wanted, freedom from the wealth, but it was still like kind of an external searching. She wanted to go out into the world. Aladdin, but she treated her tiger, really well, which is kind of maybe an internal. She treated herself well, or she had a good relationship with herself, essentially. And similar with Aladdin, except for Aladdin, he was again searching externally, but he wanted he wanted wealth, and he wanted Jasmine, and he treated Abu really well. Um, but Jafar wanted power, and he treated the parrot. I can't remember the name of the parrot or the tiger, but he treated it not very well. Like that, he choked it in one point, and like you see, its like face turn blue, and I don't know how many feathers that poor parrot lost throughout the movie. It was constantly shedding feathers and getting feathers smacked off of it and stuff like that. So it was interesting, kind of how they relate to themselves. Jafar's relation to himself was very hostile, whereas Jasmine and Aladdin actually kind of had pretty good relationships with that part of themselves. Even though even though Aladdin was a diamond in the rough, and Jasmine wasn't a queen yet, she's just a princess. But so there's some really interesting kind of dating. I mentioned at the very beginning dating. So with dating and just like attraction and relationships in general, I guess. So the first thing, so Aladdin wanted to be with Jasmine, and Jasmine liked him, but he knew he couldn't because he was just a street rat. He was just a common thief, basically. And he knew that, according to the law, that Jasmine had to marry a prince. And so he comes into some fortune, basically, some good circumstances, or misfortune, depending on how you look at it. he comes into some circumstances where he gets the lamp and he can wish to be a prince, and he wishes to be a prince. But what he gets is all these external actions, and external things. Like he dresses like a prince now, and he looks like a prince, but his heart never changed. He never kind of like earned that nobility. He just got it with kind of dumb luck, right? And it wasn't him. It wasn't who he was. He was putting on clothes that were just not himself, and it was kind of just a mask. He was putting on a mask. And then, so he lies about who he really is. And it was interesting. If you look when he comes as Prince Ali into the Agabwa or whatever the town is, whatever the city is, the three women who kind of like rolled their eyes at him whenever he was a thief, and their mom who tried to like swat him away, they were now these kind of common or basic women, are now like attracted to him, to his external appearances. But Jasmine is not. It doesn't work on Jasmine. And so then he gets captured by Jafar, and he goes to the bottom. He hits rock bottom, essentially, like just like a lot of, it's kind of just the cycle. Like I feel like a lot of guys probably do this. They try to put on external behaviors and take on the external behaviors, and they realize it doesn't work. And it's like, dang, I put all that effort in and it didn't work. And they hit rock bottom. But Aladdin, when he hit rock bottom, he was under the water, right? He had Jafar tied the weight to his ankle and then threw him into the sea, and he sunk to the bottom. And the genie lamp, went down there with him, and he saw the lamp, and he tried to get to it to rub it, but he couldn't before he passed out. And he passed out, and but then as he was like falling, as he was passed out, his hands like brushed against it. They were behind his back, and when they brushed against it, the genie came out, and it was like, and basically the genie used Aladdin's second wish to get Aladdin out of the sea and to save his life. And Aladdin had promised the genie that his third wish would be for the genie to be free. And so now Aladdin's kind of in a pickle, like, right? He's like, well, what do I do now? I got to tell. So he tries to tell Jasmine that he's not a prince. So he's like starting to come to being himself. He's like, I'm not a prince. I can't fake it. It doesn't feel right. You could see his conscience. It was weighing on him. And he becomes himself, again through that. And he accepts who he is and becomes more whole in that sense. And by accepting himself, he can use his strengths to save Jasmine from Jafar and to defeat Jafar, and to ultimately win Jasmine over the way he ultimately did in the beginning anyway, just by being himself. So, but I think kind of one of the morals is like, don't seek outward appearance. I mean, outward appearances mean very little if you don't have a change of heart. And I also wrote down, let's see. Oh yeah, there's a point where like he's so affirmed in himself. He's like, I have to be myself. Like he comes to that realization so strongly, and so he's so kind of adamant about it, or like just so confident in that understanding that he needs to just be himself, that he's willing. There's a part where he like essentially gives up Jasmine. He's like, I know that means we can't be together, but I have to be myself. I'm not a prince. I can't just be a prince. I got to be myself, even if it means that I can't have you. And that's like they didn't emphasize that much in the movie, but I think that's like a huge moment right there. Like he was willing, he was he understood that it was so important to be himself that he even had to sacrifice what he wanted more than anything, Jasmine, to be himself. It's kind of like Carl Jung said, like becoming who I am is the greatest privilege in life, basically, or what, I can't remember what he said exactly, but so Aladdin, he gives up Jasmine and kind of accepts his fate, and then it's a Disney movie, so everything works out in the end. But I think that was a huge moment where he's like, I got to be myself, and even if it costs me this person that I hold so dear, like even if it costs me what I want. So, and one thing I wanted to I noted after that is he wanted to be himself, but he was also a diamond in the rough, right? So he's not Jafar. Like if Jafar wanted to be himself kind of too, he's like obsessed with himself. He wanted to talk about himself whenever Jasmine pretended she was in love with him, and he wanted all the power, and he was just obsessed with absolute control. But Aladdin wasn't like that, and he hit rock bottom, and he had a wish to aim toward. He had an upper goal, and so he's not just anyone. He's good, but he's still improving, right? So if you're good and you're still improving, then being yourself is good. If you're an evil person, then maybe don't be yourself. But if you look at it from like a kind of Thomas Aquinas, or like a modern Catholic, or even like a internal family systems perspective, there are no bad parts, just misguided, right? And so like Jafar is actually not a person, it's actually some kind of a supernatural. He's actually like a supernatural. He's almost like shame itself, like shame personified in a way. And we have that in us, but essentially nobody is really just an evil person. But the parts that, if we do have parts that are evil, like I think literally probably shame is maybe the one part that could be considered evil, because that's what generates all other evil actions. That's really deep philosophy. I won't even go into that right now, but I guess the point is just that, Aladdin he's a diamond in the rough, and he learns that he has to just be himself. He's already growing and changing, he's growing throughout the movie, and not just staying a common thief. So anyway, that's a little analysis of Aladdin. I hope there were some interesting bits in there for you. I'll probably watch the movie again sometime. It's a good movie. Really good movie. It's so funny with like modern dating advice is always like, even women will say it, and men and everybody, they'll be like, you got to dress right, dress well, and like, and then, I mean, that's true, right? You want to look presentable, but like, then I think it can be taken way too far too. Like, if that's all you're doing, then you gotta do the inner work too. You gotta be able to have a relationship with yourself to be able to have a relationship with anybody else, I think. So those are my thoughts. Thanks for chilling with me. If you have any other thoughts on Aladdin, I would love to hear them. Let me know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe. There'll be more. And peace.